Hello, everyone. This is Armstrong Williams on the right side. Armstrong. Don't curse, speak English. Armstrong. Virtuous society. Armstrong. I dare you to listen. Hey, turn it up. Hey. Armstrong. Get on the right side. Armstrong. Elevate your mind. Armstrong. I'm Armstrong Williams on the right side. Armstrong. Yo, man, it's your boy K.O. And you're tuned into the most conservative of our brothers. Armstrong. The Armstrong Williams Show. Please give me a break. Grow up. Oh, Armstrong Williams. They say it's the right side, and it is the right side. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. Our very special guest and the first half hour. Truly a prophet in our time. He's the founder and pastor of the Christian Culture Center in New York. One of the most sought-after voices for spiritual advice and counseling, not just by his parishioners and people in the community, but throughout the world. Let me welcome Pastor A.R. Bernard to the airways. Hello, Pastor. He's not there. I do laugh because I just assumed that all my guests will be in the queue waiting for me. But, you know, that's not always the case, right? He is there. Pastor Bernard, how are you? Pastor?
Hello.
Okay, finally. So I was right. How are you doing, Pastor?
I am doing very well, Armstrong Williams. How are you?
Just fine. Pastor, I am so honored to have you as a guest today, considering that you are one of the pastors that I have such respect for and that I listen to, that just really, every sermon that I listen to on Sunday just impacts me. You know, obviously, you've been quoted in the papers much this week. You were on the cover of the New York Daily News. And I don't want to discuss so much because, to me, there is no controversy. I just want to cut to the heart of the issue that is being debated. And that is ministers giving their input in the body politic, and particularly on the issues of morality, where the media seeks you out to get your opinion, whether it's about same-sex marriage, whether it's about a presidential candidate being a Mormon. How do you, given the influence that you have and how you've always made it paramount to sort of stay out of the political fray without not only influencing your parishioners but the political process, but how do you balance it out, particularly given the uncertainty about morality today, the many issues that people seem to be torn by? It is one thing to vote for someone because the elected official is not your minister. They're not your priest. They're not your rabbi. That's why you go to church on Sunday. And you understand that politicians are imperfect, but yet there are moral issues that you refuse to compromise on. How do you balance that out from the need from the press to call on people like yourself, and no matter what you say, it's going to stir controversy into not within yourself, but just in the body politic?
Well, it's interesting, Armstrong, and thank you for having me on your broadcast. I appreciate that, and I appreciate our friendship because it's been more than some 30 years already.
30 years.
And just watching what has happened to our American society socially and politically and morally over the past 30 years of our relationship. First, let me address the Associated Press article, because that was an interview where the reporter and I was simply discussing the concerns voiced by African-American clergy with regard to some statements that the president made and the overall tone of the election. The article was originally titled, "African-American Christians Waver Over the Vote." The problem is that the media turned it into black pastors tell their parishioners to go fishing on Election Day. Now, how one thing turned into the other, you understand what happens with media. And nowhere in that article did I say, or would I ever say, to my parishioners or any person not to exercise their right to vote. And I'm going to give you 3 good reasons why I would never tell my congregation not to vote. Schwerner, Goodman, and Cheney. And if you don't know what those names are, and June 21st, 1964, then you're really out of touch with reality, because the right to vote cost them their lives. And these were both black and white individuals in Mississippi who gave their lives for the right to vote. So the right to vote should be cherished and exercised, and I would never tell my congregants not to vote. So I really thank you for the opportunity to clear that up, because there's some people who were writing me and calling me, asking me why would I ever do such a thing, but I would not. And we have to be very careful when we are reading articles from the media or listening to reports from the media.
How do you counsel people who make decisions about voting from someone, how much of an impact, whether a position is taken that goes against their moral compass? Because obviously any politician at some point is going to do something that on principle you disagree and morally you disagree. That's why they're politicians. Because there is not, it's not all.
You're absolutely right. They're not our pastor. They're not our priest. They're not our preacher. They're not our rabbi. They are politicians. And you take someone like Barack Obama or any other president, they swear to uphold the Constitution, not one particular religious belief or code of morality. Now, the church is the moral voice in any society. And the reality is that people of faith, as people of faith, we live in a tension between our moral values and the realities of daily life. It is sometimes difficult to navigate those tensions, especially when we are looking to exercise our right to vote and the candidates that are presented to us don't fully align with our particular values and beliefs and about this country and its future. So we then have to say, okay, well, what are the issues? And what can I reasonably predict based upon track record or trends and what this candidate is saying, the direction that they're going to take the nation? And that's not an easy task.
How much should the moral issues weigh? And does it say anything? Can you separate the character of the president while he may privately believe one thing, but yet because he was elected by the people, there are certain political expedient tactics that he must take that may go against your own upbringing and your own value system, but you understand that these politicians can be auctioned off from time to time?
Armstrong, that's what I mean by the realities of daily life and the tension between our moral values and the realities of daily life. There is a tension that we live in. And, when the President of the United States takes the oath to uphold the Constitution, that Constitution hasn't changed in its opening statement. We, the people. And we, the people, means all Americans at every social, economic, intellectual level, religious persuasion. The president is responsible to represent all of his constituency.
But when it's all said and done, how much does any of this matter, voting for whomever, and getting so emotionally distraught and as if it's a life or death situation on who gets in the White House or not? How does it really impact the overall mission that you have as a pastor, not just on Sunday, but every day of the week? Because at some point, whether it's on the phone, whether it's meeting with someone privately, whether it's visiting a hospital or convalescent home, you're always conducting ministry.
And that's the thing. You know what? I have lived through presidents, not one president, but presidents. They come for 4 years, sometimes 8 years. They move on. Another president comes in. But me, I'm still pastoring. I'm still dealing with the everyday life of the people and how to connect God to that reality of daily life and to help them do it in the context of their moral striving, because we all fall short. So and that's not an easy task, but that is my task at hand, regardless of who is in office, regardless of who's president, who's governor, who's mayor. The clergyman has a responsibility to uphold a moral standard and cannot deviate from that and the consistency necessary to uphold that standard, regardless of pop culture, regardless of the issues that are being debated.
When you say uphold morality, what do you mean when you say? Do you think that God expects the president to set a moral example to guide a nation through moral decisions?
Absolutely. I mean, it was Roosevelt who said to educate a man in mind and not in morals is to educate a menace to society. And how true that is, because a person makes decisions out of their character, and that character shaped by their moral compass. And that's why it's important that we do consider that. But the reality is not everyone has the same moral standards. Morality has to do with right and wrong behavior according to a code of conduct. Now, usually that's within the context of someone's faith. If not, then it's in the context of ethics. Everyone doesn't have the same standard of morality.
But is there one standard of morality according to your teachings?
Armstrong, there is a higher law. That is universally written upon the hearts of all men. It doesn't mean that all men respect that and listen to that voice. That's why the church is so important, to be both salt and light in the society. As salt, and using a biblical term, salt was used as a preservative. Now notice, it helped to preserve the integrity of the meat that it was rubbed into, but it was not designed to convert the meat to salt.
Pastor,
too often we can take that to the extreme. We're here to uphold and preserve a moral standard in our society. We understand that very
Pastor
clearly.
A.R. Bernard, Christian Culture Center out of New York, is our guest. We have callers. We're coming back. Don't go away.
For more information on the Armstrong-Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.rightsidewire.com. There you can find his syndicated column archive, view live streams, and get your favorite conservative pundits' views on the current issues affecting the American people. From building wealth to foreign policy, stay connected with Armstrong-Williams and his colleagues at the all-new www.rightsidewire.com.
High Point University has experienced unprecedented growth during the worst economic disruption in decades. This growth is driven by a university that focuses on holistic education, on experiential learning, and on values-based living. At High Point University, every student receives an extraordinary education in an inspiring environment with caring people. See what makes High Point University extraordinary at highpoint.edu.
Anderson Brothers Bank, a family-owned and operated establishment that blends traditional personal service, local market awareness, and advanced technology to meet the financial needs of its customers. Visit abbank.com or call 843-464-6271 to see how they can assist you with your banking needs. Anderson Brothers Bank, celebrating 75 years of community banking, the way it should be. Stability right in your backyard since 1933. Join the millions of Americans who pursue one of our country's finest traditions, from hunting to sport shooting. Since 1871, the NRA has grown as a service organization involved in all aspects of shooting sports and is a proud defender of the Bill of Rights. Join today to begin taking advantage of exclusive membership offers and discounts, including up to $25,000 in insurance coverage. Contact the NRA today. Call 1-800-672-3888 or visit nra.org.
Life is full of unexpected changes. Everyone has potential to do wrong. And when they choose to do it, contact the Bucksell Group for your private investigation needs. TheBucksellGroup.com or by phone at 202-243-9746. Whether there's an instance of a cheating spouse, child custody, process service, or security, don't continue suspecting. Get closure so that you can move on with your life. Visit TheBucksellGroup.com now or call 202-243-9746. If you think it's happening, it probably is.
Where heads of state, sports, entertainment, and political celebrities meet. You're listening to Armstrong-Williams.
And welcome back to the Armstrong-Williams Show, and thank you so much for joining us. Charles, do you have a comment for Pastor Bernard? Thank you for calling in. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. How you doing there, Brother Armstrong?
Just fine, thank you.
Yes, sir. I'm noticing how you feeling on your guest that he not being straight up with the people.
How can you say? How are you saying? What?
If you would have had to ask me a million times, I'll tell you the same time. I said the pastor hiding something. He told him that ain't no way you can get out there, and you done told it, but now you're trying to justify it.
What are you talking about?
I want to
make sure.
Slow down. Now you know you told your congregation that. Do not vote.
Are you asking him or are you telling him? Let's be respectful. Are you asking
all the time?
Are you asking the pastor or are you telling him? Are you asking him a question? Come on, man. Show respect.
Yeah, so pastor, you need to you need to get your congregation together and say, I apologize to y'all even if I made that kind of accusation with telling y'all not to get out to the polls and vote or whatever you say, you wrong. And I seriously believe that you said it. Without a reason.
Well, you can't just seriously believe it without having some form of evidence. You go and find any article with any quote that says that I have told my congregation not to vote. I would never do that. Additionally, I have recordings on last Sunday where I was telling them to vote. So you've got to be clear when you are believing something that it was actually said, and I did not say it, and I have nothing to hide.
And thank you for calling, Charles. Charles, thank you for calling.
Pastor, because if you say it, then you're going to have to give account for that. Just like all your saints of God up in the church, you're going to have to give account for that.
Well, I appreciate you wanting to hold me accountable, but you're holding me accountable to something that I didn't say. So God bless you for that, at least.
Yeah.
And thank you for calling.
Well, I hope not, but anyway, I am trying to pass judgment on you.
Yeah.
All right, I appreciate that.
Okay, thank you. All right. Pastor, why are people... This is a very emotional issue for people. Why?
Armstrong, I'm not surprised. Let me tell you, when the media twisted that whole thing up, I got emails, I got phone calls from seemingly intelligent people who just did not read the article. They read the headline. They read the content of the article. So how can you come to the same conclusion when there's nothing in that article that says that I told my people or would ever tell my people not to vote?
But what about
the media did was take me and put my name based upon an interview along with pastors who are telling their congregations not to vote.
And what are your thoughts on those pastors?
Judged by the company you are put in context with.
What are your thoughts on those pastors that would tell their parishioners not to vote?
They are absolutely irresponsible. I gave you 3 reasons in the beginning of this broadcast. I gave you 3 names, Schwerner, Goodman, and Cheney. And you know what happened to them in 1964 when they organized, it was called Freedom Summer. They organized a massive get-out-the-vote voter registration rally in Mississippi. And those 3 individuals were brutally killed. And it launched a major investigation to get to the bottom of it, and it took years to hold people accountable and bring them to justice. All right? That was a very dear price that was paid for the right to vote. So I would never tell anybody not to vote. Voting is a privilege, it's an honor, something that should be cherished and exercised, especially by people of color in this country.
You know, people really don't know how to do research on whatever the media posts. They automatically assume that the media has no agenda and you become the culprit. How can people go beyond the media to find the true story?
Armstrong, well, you know where my truth is in that book called the Bible, and there are people who will debate it as to its validity. But we've got to be, especially as people of color, we've got to be critical thinkers. We cannot let something we read once without comparing it or fact-checking it make up our mind for us. We must approach things psychologically sharp and intelligent and critical. And until we become critical thinkers in this society, we're going to continue to let media or demagogues shape our thinking for us.
You know, how can the media be so irresponsible and so manipulative? How can people trust them in anything they say and do?
Well, you listen to their advertisements, Armstrong. You heard it first. Breaking news, exclusive story. So this push for preeminence violates the time necessary to fact check. You're a journalist. You know the importance of fact checking. And in the absence of fact checking, they put information out that can be incomplete or erroneous, and then the apology is tucked away in the newspaper somewhere between the classified section and the obituary. If there is an apology.
Were you disappointed and sort of shocked by the media in this affair?
I'm not surprised, Armstrong. I've dealt with the media for years, just as you have, so I understand it. Sometimes they get it right, but too often in an attempt to be first or some breaking news or to push an agenda, they'll manipulate the information. So they took me as a prominent minister in New York of a large congregation, interviewed me in a very balanced interview, but then others took it and put my name in the context and in the company of other pastors who actually did say that they're telling their people not to vote. So, again, you're judged by the company you keep or the company that you put in context with.
Talk about
it is not new, Armstrong. Unfortunately, we've gotten away from things like integrity and responsibility.
Is it fair game to discuss Romney's Mormon faith in this election? Is that a legitimate issue?
Absolutely. I mean, it's fair game to discuss anyone's potential influence on their policies, domestic and foreign, their thinking with regard to other people in this society. I think that whole 47% thing that the media is running with is unfortunate. But it leaves a clue that we have to question Romney's perspective on American society as a whole. And with regard to Mormonism, we ask the question, to what degree will his Mormonism influence his policies, both domestic and foreign? And he's not the first president that has that subscribes to a faith that is not the traditional Christian faith in our society. You've had like William Taft and some others who were actually gave affiliation as Unitarians. And there are traditional pastors, Christian pastors, who have a problem with the Unitarian faith in terms of its relationship to Orthodox Christianity. President Obama identifies so strongly with Abraham Lincoln, and although Lincoln, is responsible for the Emancipation Proclamation, in terms of religious affiliation, he is listed as no affiliation.
Wow. How much should people take stock in the fact that the president is an ardent supporter of same-sex marriage?
I mean, it's politics, Armstrong. You know it. I know it. And I believe your audience is intelligent enough to understand that it's politics. There are many segments of society, special interest groups, pushing their agenda that he has to represent as part of the overall constituency of this nation. It is what it is.
Pastor, why do you think in today's world, when so many ministers have lost their credibility and lost their way, you're one of the few pastors, high profile, that have not fallen into that trap where obviously people are not able to separate the message from the messenger, and the message is far more important than the messenger. We understand that it's important that the messenger is not a hypocrite in saying one thing or do another. How have you, over these past 50 years, have been able to maintain and stay rooted and grounded in your faith and not allowing the trappings of power in huge congregations and huge buildings and celebrity take precedence and sort of blind you to your purpose and your true calling?
Well, besides my wife for 40 years and God's grace in my life, Armstrong, I'm not deceived about the reality of this world, this society in which we live, and all the things that it has to offer. with its counterfeit loves, its counterfeit values. I'm very clear in terms of what I believe. And don't get me wrong, I am part of that moral striving. I live in the tension between my moral values and the realities of daily life. And it can be quite a challenge from time to time. But I think that any minister who wants to have longevity will build into his life and lifestyle every possible element to protect him from himself and protect him from the possibility of scandal and compromise.
And tell us more about CCC, how people can hear your message and listen to you on Sundays.
Well, I thank you, Armstrong. Of course, they can go to our website, cccinfo.org, and or look up A.R. Bernard, and they can find who we are. It's been 34 years of ministry here in New York City, and we started from just a little study group in a kitchen in 1978. And we've been blessed and consistent to be where we are today. It didn't happen overnight, and we've had our ups and downs and our challenges. But, someone said once that fame comes in a moment, but greatness comes with longevity. And longevity is about... Hello?
No, go ahead.
And longevity is about managing continuity and change.
Pastor, thank you for your time. Thank you for your example, and thank you for joining us.
It's been my pleasure, Armstrong. God bless.
God bless you, and we'll be back.
For more information on the Armstrong-Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.rightsidewire.com. There you can find his syndicated column archive, view live streams, and get your favorite conservative pundits' views on the current issues affecting the American people. From building wealth to foreign policy, stay connected with Armstrong Williams and his colleagues at the all-new www.rightsidewire.com.
America must change course if we hope to survive and save the American dream for our children and grandchildren. How do we fix Social Security and Medicare? How do we cut government spending? How do we reform health care? How do we simplify the tax code? The Heritage Foundation has a bold plan that tackles these tough problems using common sense solutions that leave partisan politics on the sidelines. Find out how we can save the American dream at savingthedream.org, paid for by the Heritage Foundation.
Hi, this is Armstrong Williams with an opportunity to own a piece of paradise in Nassau, Bahamas. Spectacular land prices, 8,000 square feet, 20,000 square feet lot, affordable prices, hilltop properties with views of the magnificent sea. Just call 242-677-3120 or 3121 or go to info@rightsidewire.com and leave your information.
Does your school, team, church, or charity need a new fundraiser? Do you need to work out of your home or part-time? Are you a small business that can use an additional revenue stream? Then you need Yellow Llama. Do you need affordable web services or tools to enhance your existing business? Are you a graphic artist who wants to create a revenue stream with your art but not get ripped off? Then go to www.yellowllama.com.
Join the millions of Americans who pursue one of our country's finest traditions, from hunting to sport shooting. Since 1871, the NRA has grown as a service organization involved in all aspects of shooting sports and is a proud defender of the Bill of Rights. Join today to begin taking advantage of exclusive membership offers and discounts, including up to $25,000 in insurance coverage. Contact the NRA today. Call 1-800-672-3888 or visit nra.org.
Where heads of state, sports, entertainment, and political celebrities meet. You're listening to Armstrong Williams.
Milo Pickney, our able and consistent and brilliant and commentator and businessman and family man and community man, is with us today. I'm just so full of high praise of Milo Pickney. I don't know if I say it enough, brother, but we appreciate your time and your sacrifice in joining us every week, okay? We do appreciate your outstanding intellectual contribution to the broadcast.
Well, thanks, Armstrong. I don't know if I can live up to that type of accolade.
You already have.
It, nonetheless.
Already have. Milo, we need you to pretend that you're a lawyer. And the jury are the American people. And your task is to make the case of why Mitt Romney would be a better president in November over the current occupiers of the White House. Let the case begin.
Well, I think Mitt Romney represents a line of thinking that is necessary right now to restore this country to both economic power and a position of world dominance. Our country is in desperate need of a very clear, comprehensive plan and a return to productivity and production away from smoke and mirrors. And in light of the Fed's decision and release yesterday, well, actually, I guess it was the Friday, where Bernanke indicated that the Fed is going to go right back into the smoke and mirrors model that got us in trouble in the first place. We need a president like what Romney is hopefully going to be, someone with a clear understanding of the direct connection between productivity and economic and return to economic dominance. Absent that, we're going to endure an additional 4 more years of the same, anemic performance, economic performance that our country has endured.
Now, callers, we want you to call in and challenge Milo today at 1-866-620-6620 and 803-733-5620. Milo, make the case on promises made by the president, promises not delivered, and what you think another 4 years under President Obama, if he is reelected, how devastating this could be and a watershed moment for our country.
Well, I think the president made some very clear and well-documented promises. Let's talk about the whole hope and change agenda. He was going to provide an administration of transparency. And, in fact, what we've had is an administration that has been anything but transparent, where the Secretary of State is working behind the scenes in the UN, attempting to embed legislation in unrelated laws to gain control of guns and take away the civil liberties of the American people with respect to their ownership of firearms. We have a president who has disregarded the principal tenets of the presidency and his responsibility to represent the collective and majority interests of the American voters as their representative leader. And instead of responding and respecting the 54% of Americans that were not in favor of Obamacare, he indicated that he knew better than us what we needed for us and ramrodded a program through that is flawed on so many levels it would take too many shows to outline. We have a president who promised fiscal responsibility, who has sat back while Chairman Bernanke made it very clear at his Friday announcement that he's going to pump hundreds of billions of dollars to purchase home mortgages on a plan that will purchase these billions of home mortgages annually going forward in an effort to bolster our economy. Well, this is counterintuitive to a plan of fiscal responsibility, which he committed to producing. So what we have is one, promise after another, most of which were not met with any degree of consistency, and has miserably failed to turn around a situation that started, in fact, 5 years before he even got here. Now, after having said all of that, let me make it perfectly clear. I am not suggesting for a moment that our current economic woes are solely the responsibility of this presidency. But I will say with equal clarity that the duration of our economic woes are greatly attributable to this presidency's failure to address the problems.
Could you make a case that you would like to see both houses and the White House controlled by Republicans? Is that a good thing?
Well, I'm about to upset everybody on both sides of the aisle. Armstrong, could almost care less whether or not the House and the Senate were controlled by Republicans or Democrats, or the White House is controlled by a Republican or a Democrat. I think our problems are beyond partisanship at this point. I think our problem, what we need, is people on both sides of the aisle that have a clear understanding of what makes a republic like ours function, and have a clear understanding of the economic realities that America has played on the global stage. And in doing so, has a commitment to return us to that period of glory where we led the world both in production, development, and innovation. It's not about partisanship at this point. It's about problem solving, and we need a leader who understands that the problems are the issue, not what side of the aisle you sit on.
Randy, you have a comment. Thank you for calling. You're on with Milo.
Hey, what's going on, fellas?
Hi there, Randy. How are you today?
I'm good, man. I just get tickled every time y'all guys blame everything on Obama and talk about he knew the problems that he was facing and all this other stuff. Listen, man, the Republicans took the country in a hole. Talk about the Great Depression. We had to spend nearly $20 trillion to get us out of this hole. To say that it took $20 trillion to get out the hole, we're $16 trillion in debt, right? They're saying that Obama put all this debt on us. The stimulus worked. If he said it was going to go to 8%, he didn't know how bad it was till he got in there. He didn't know how bad the decline was going to go. There's companies sitting on, it was $2 trillion about 2 years ago. Now they got to be sitting on probably $3 trillion. The stock market is almost at 14,000.
Randy, do you own any stock?
Do I own any stock?
Yeah.
I had pension stock that I lost a lot of.
But I'm saying you've bought stock.
When the Republicans took over and took everybody's pension in the hole, I remember
Randy?
that. Obama didn't do that.
Randy?
Yeah.
Have you ever purchased stock in a corporation?
Did I ever purchase? I'll tell you my pension had stocks. What are you talking about?
I'm
not rich like Romney. I can't go to rich $50,000 plate dinners and say I don't care about 47% of the country. No, I don't buy stock. No.
Is it okay? So you've never bought stock. So you've never invested in a company, correct?
No.
Okay. Do you think if you had invested in a company and the leader of that company said, well, the company screwed up and we're showing losses, the losses were caused by the people that were here before me.
The country is not a company, man. You're going into hypotheticals and other realizations of the world. The country is not a company. Romney is not going to solve our problems. The Republicans did not help Obama for 2 years. The 2009 budget was a Republican budget. Everybody talking about Obama's policies. The 2009 budget, was it not a Republican budget?
You know something, Randy? It's interesting. I'm listening to what you're saying.
What's 2009 a Republican?
Nowhere am I hearing a solution. All I'm hearing is the usual rhetoric.
Your rhetoric. You just spit rhetoric. I'm spitting it back. Wasn't 2009 a Republican budget?
Was the 2009 a Republican budget? In fact, no, it was not. It was a combined budget.
Was it a Republican budget in 2009? Yes or no?
It was under the Republican administration. It was not a Republican budget. But that goes to speak to your failure to understand how it goes.
Obama was the president in 2009. That first budget under Obama was a Republican budget. The first budget under Obama was the 2010 budget, which was a stimulus. Am I correct?
Randy, there's no such thing as a Republican or a Democratic budget. The budget is produced annually.
All right, so did the Republican Congress and Bush pass the 2009 budget?
2009, no, that would have been Obama.
Did Bush sign in the 2009 budget? That's what I want to ask you.
Obama was president in 2009. Bush was out of office.
I'm talking about the budget. See that's why I love y'all. Because whenever y'all get hit with a fact, y'all go into y'all rhetoric. The 2009 budget was a budget passed under George Bush. But y'all keep saying Obama's policies have been in place for 4 years. His policies have only been in place for 2 years. This is the third year of an Obama presidency budget, right? The stock market is at 14,000. All these corporations are holding their money, giving it to Romney, hoping he cut their taxes, and then they'll hire people. Because they'll make over $1 billion probably in taxes a year and get $10 million worth of a job per company.
Aren't you the person who just told me you've never bought stock?
What are you talking about, man?
I'm just asking you a question. Are you not the person who just previously said that you never bought stock? So what?
Yeah, what does stock have to do with what I'm saying? What does stock have to do with anything I just said?
You just made the representation that the wealthy are going to get tax credits and then reinvest and bolster their companies.
No, they want Romney to cut their taxes by 15%. They want them dead capital gains. They just want free money, and then they'll throw it, and they think, and everybody thinks it's going to trickle down. But every time the rich get a tax cut, it trickles down for a couple of years, and then start begging again. The rich start going, I need another tax cut. If a Democrat, we'll destroy the country again for another 8 years. We'll get a Democrat in. We'll say he didn't fix it, and then we'll beg for another tax cut. And we'll say, if you cut out taxes, we'll start making jobs again. It's another inner cycle that started under Reagan.
Randy, tell me something. Instead of screaming at the tide, since you don't believe that tax cuts stimulate the economy, and I'm curious.
I never said that.
Oh, so what's the issue?
I never said that. The issue is the people got their tax cuts. The rich people got their tax cuts, right, under Bush, right? The Republicans and George Bush was running things. They had everything popping for 6 years. They did nothing on nothing. The only did was start a war and give rich people tax cuts.
Randy, thank you for calling.
Nobody got tax cuts during war.
Always good to hear from you.
Until it was a push of the Republicans.
Milo and I will be back. Don't go away.
There's going to be never in the tax cuts on the Republicans. And that's the way the world going to go.
Randy, thanks for calling.
For more information on the Armstrong-Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.rightsidewire.com. There you can find his syndicated column archive, view live streams, and get your favorite conservative pundits' views on the current issues affecting the American people. From building wealth to foreign policy, stay connected with Armstrong-Williams and his colleagues at the all-new www.rightsidewire.com.
Anderson Brothers Bank, a family-owned and operated establishment that blends traditional personal service, local market awareness, and advanced technology to meet the financial needs of its customers. Visit abbank.com or call 843-464-6271 to see how they can assist you with your banking needs. Anderson Brothers Bank, celebrating 75 years of community banking, the way it should be. Stability right in your backyard since 1933.
High Point University has experienced unprecedented growth during the worst economic disruption in decades. This growth is driven by a university that focuses on holistic education, on experiential learning, and on values-based living. At High Point University, every student receives an extraordinary education in an inspiring environment with caring people. See what makes High Point University extraordinary at highpoint.edu.
Whether it's their impact on prison guards, law enforcement officials, business executives, employees, or marriage and relationships, Lorette is dedicated to changing the individual and institutions around the globe. Lorette's diverse network and training courses can help provide you with the tools you need to both wisely and confidently lead, manage, and supervise yourself as well as others. Lorette Business Network, a proven system for achieving success in your business and life. Please visit their website and begin this life-lasting journey with Lorette today. www.lorette.org.
To travelers along the road of life who have fallen asleep at the wheel, to the many who woke up in time to avert disaster and get back on the righteous path. For the ones who crashed and survived and now adhere vigilantly to a virtuous and righteous path. Finally, Armstrong-Williams' much-anticipated new book, Reawakening Virtues, gives his insights into these daily challenges and much more. Reawakening Virtues is available in bookstores and at Amazon.com.
Where heads of state, sports, entertainment, and political celebrities meet. You're listening to Armstrong-Williams.
And welcome back to the Armstrong-Williams Show, and our phone lines are still open. You know, Milo, we no longer have a AAA credit rating. That's a historic first. Just last week, our country received another downgrade that the media largely ignored. Egan Jones cut its rating of the United States credit from AA to AA minus. And I mean, do any people actually remember what Standard & Poor's actually said when they downgraded us? They emphasizes not taxes on the wealthy, Milo, but reduction in spending as gravely needed. And does the president think that this problem will magically somehow go away? In my opinion, well, I'm asking you, has he done nothing about this? And sadly, do you expect him to ever do anything about it?
Well, before I get to that, Armstrong, let me respond to the point that you made relative to the S&P rating going down, and its trickle-down effect on the United States. The people most adversely impacted by a reduction in our federal credit rating are the working class, because what it translates into is an inability to borrow capital. And when companies cannot borrow capital, they do not expand their business. They do not increase marketing. They do not increase manufacturing capacity. They cut back. And what is the first thing that a company cuts back on is labor forces. And the people who are most likely to be cut are the people in the middle class, the very people that this president has promised to assist. So a focus on making sure that the U.S. credit rating remains strong and demonstrates consistent economic growth is a critical component of providing a sustainable income and improved quality of life to the middle class, the very sector of the population he pledges allegiance to. Yet, in fact, this very cross-section of our culture has been most adversely affected by the continued failure to achieve the goals. And I always love when the callers call in, and I know you like setting me up with callers like that.
Oh, no, I have no control over the callers coming in. I have no control over that. It's all right.
Yeah, I know you don't. But, I know we love to have the callers call in and scream and yell at me. And I always find it interesting when they do, because, it's usually someone standing at the top of the pole screaming at the tide because it's getting his feet wet. When the reality of it is, if they took a moment and actually listened to the data, analyzed it with intellect as opposed to emotion, they would find over and over again that the factors speak louder than their feelings. And the reality of it is, if we don't have a strong economy, the middle class hurt more than anybody. There was an interesting study done by a nonpartisan group a couple of years ago. It was done by the Congressional Research Service, which, as I said, is a nonpartisan group. And what they did is they did an analysis of real per capita GDP growth rate as it related to top taxpayers. And they did it for a period spanning 1945 to 2010. And what they found, unequivocally, without compromise ever, completely consistent from 1945 to 2010, was every time that there was a primary tax rate adjustment primarily targeted at the upper 1% of the population, that in fact, those people didn't see a significant reduction in their taxes, in their net taxes. What it showed was that they saw a decrease in their gross tax number as it related to their retained earnings. But when you adjusted for the increased taxes that they paid on the corporate side, their net result was almost a zero-sum gain. In the best case, in 1954, it was a 4.2% increase. That resulted in an income gain of 2.7% to the top 1% of Americans. So the tax savings, the discount taxes to the wealthy, are designed for nothing else than to refocus those dollars on business investment. Because if the wealthy are going to have a tax benefit personally, where do they invest their money? In their own business.
It's interesting, Milo, to really reiterate the larger point that you're making. The average family has lost 25 to 33% of their wealth, and the president, of course, as you said, inherited a very tough situation. But the recovery, as it turns out, has actually been worse to the average American than the financial crisis. Even Michael Fletcher, a friend of mine over at the Washington Post, reported that from June 2009 to 2012, inflation-adjusted median household income, Milo, fell 4.8% to $50,964. I mean, incomes have dropped more since the beginning of the recovery than they did during the recession itself, when they declined 2.6%. And yes, man, that is really bad.
Yeah, it's really bad, but more importantly, it's nonpartisan. And that's why I began our discussion today with, it really doesn't matter whether it's Republicans or Democrats. What we need is people that understand the system. Whether they be Republican or Democrat, we need a conservative, a fiscal conservative with a responsible social agenda. And, quite frankly, whether you're a Democrat or Republican, black, white, an Obama supporter and a Romney supporter, the reality of it, the facts are that the point of focus needs to be, is the person in leading this country's recovery fiscally conservative, and do they have a balanced and responsible social agenda? Are either one of them perfect? Absolutely not. But as far as I can tell, the one who has the demonstrated balance, a greater sense of balance, not right or wrong, but a greater demonstrated sense of balance, is Romney, and it's documented over and over again within his historical performance. Let me touch on something, if I might take a detour here for a second. Last year,
before you take your detour, let me go back to the phone line. Alan, you're on the air with Milo. Thank you for calling.
Hello, how you doing today?
Fine.
Hey, Alan, how are you today?
Doing good. Okay, convince me. I claim neither party, and give you this brief history of myself. Mr. Williams probably already heard this, but bear with me. I was sold by the Bush presidency or administration. I moved from South Carolina to New York to provide, Citibank, just to be specific, my services in technology. I was told that if we would allow him to stay in office, he would give tax cuts to the corporations, they would create jobs. And I brought into this. So I went and I trained, actually come to find out that I was actually training India how to do our jobs. And in fact, our jobs were subsequently outsourced to them. And I went from making six figures that year to $8 an hour when I had to move back down here. So please convince me, why should I go back to that party, given a person that is now running who is more business savvy than Bush could ever think about?
Well, you know what? I appreciate the question. I'll give you a quick answer to it, because it's probably the simplest answer out there. Number one, Bush was not a business person. In fact, Bush was a failed business person with a well-documented history of business failures. All right. Obama is somebody who has absolutely never run a business of any sort, has never really run a government of any sort. He was grossly underqualified when he took office. Had absolutely no experience logically to support the position he was thrust into.
Do you mind if I cut you real quick?
Sure, but before you do, hang on one thing. The reality of it is, Mitt Romney has created more jobs in his private sector role than any one of the former president or the current seated president. And it's not even subject to my opinion, or it's simply a statement in fact. And
okay, I'd agree with that. But let's go here. If it wasn't for this administration who put in place a policy for my house to be modified, without his policy, it would not have been. The credit cards that I did have, and all of this was gain. All of what I had was gain on hard work. So it wasn't like I just got this money from just anywhere. I mean, it was hard work. So the credit cards that I did have when I lost the job, I had to use it. Without his administration, the banks would have been able to put fees on me that was well up and above what would have been if he wasn't. So with this administration, there are some things that have been done with this administration that Romney has totally said that he wants to do without. And I'm coming out of this now. I mean, I'm getting out of this situation with also the Obama administration. I've gotten into this program that's going to retrain and refocus my skills where I will be able to go back into the technology in the healthcare side of things, what he championed. So all of these things are now trying to be repealed by the Republicans, and all of the things that I'm being trained to do now may be for naught. So why would I go?
Alan, back up a second, because let's take it one item at a time. You made reference specifically to credit cards and how the Obama administration applied policy forcing the banks to back off of you for credit cards that solely you, ran up because of your own economic situation. The reality of it is The reason you were in that position in the first place was a series of judgments. You know, at some point in time, we all have to assume responsibility for our own life circumstances. Our life situations are the sum result of our historical life decisions. And the portion of the population that finds themselves in economically threatened by credit card debt, foreclosure, are in those positions because at whatever point in time that they began with, they made judgments that were inappropriate in the first place.
No. I have to stop you there. I am nowhere near the individuals that have gamed the system, nowhere near the individuals that have gotten credit when they knew that they couldn't afford. I was making six figures. Don't even
Gentlemen, we are out of time.
That class because I'm there now.
Milo,
there, it wasn't.
Alan,
so don't do that.
Pastor Bernard, thank you so much for joining us. All the best.
High Point University has experienced unprecedented growth during the worst economic disruption in decades. This growth is driven by a university that focuses on holistic education, on experiential learning, and on values-based living. At High Point University, every student receives an extraordinary education in an inspiring environment with caring people. See what makes High Point University extraordinary at highpoint.edu.
Join the millions of Americans who pursue one of our country's finest traditions, from hunting to sport shooting. Since 1871, the NRA has grown as a service organization involved in all aspects of shooting sports and is a proud defender of the Bill of Rights. Join today to begin taking advantage of exclusive membership offers and discounts, including up to $25,000 in insurance coverage. Contact the NRA today. Call 1-800-672-3888 or visit nra.org. Anderson Brothers Bank, a family-owned and operated establishment that blends traditional personal service, local market awareness, and advanced technology to meet the financial needs of its customers. Visit abbank.com or call 843-464-6271 to see how they can assist you with your banking needs. Anderson Brothers Bank, celebrating 75 years of community banking, the way it should be. Stability right in your backyard since 1933.
Life is full of unexpected changes. Everyone has potential to do wrong. And when they choose to do it, contact the Bucksell Group for your private investigation needs. TheBucksellGroup.com or by phone at 202-243-9746. Whether there's an instance of a cheating spouse, child custody, process service, or security, don't continue suspecting. Get closure so that you can move on with your life. Visit TheBucksellGroup.com now or call 202-243-9746. If you think it's happening, it probably is.
America must change course if we hope to survive and save the American dream for our children and grandchildren. How do we fix Social Security and Medicare? How do we cut government spending? How do we reform health care? How do we simplify the tax code? The Heritage Foundation has a bold plan that tackles these tough problems using common sense solutions that leave partisan politics on the sidelines. Find out how we can save the American dream at savingthedream.org, paid for by the Heritage Foundation.
Does your school, team, church, or charity need a new fundraiser? Do you need to work out of your home or part-time? Are you a small business that can use an additional revenue stream? Then you need Yellow Llama. Do you need affordable web services or tools to enhance your existing business? Are you a graphic artist who wants to create a revenue stream with your art but not get ripped off? Then go to www.yellowllama.com.
The sweet potato pie. Even the keenest taste buds will tell you the best food on the planet. Large enough to serve you and small enough to know you. So get to Henry's at 5431 Indian Head Highway, Oxon Hill, Maryland, or give us a call at 301-749-6856.